Let us get in. Okay. Hello, Linden. Good to see you.
You too.
Yeah. So let us see your house.
Yeah, come in.
Okay. So you have a Christmas tree already set up.
That's right.
So are you already living in the house, or?
Not quite. We're hopefully in a couple of weeks. We're inching towards finished.
Inching to finish. Yeah. When I see your kitchen, actually, yeah, it's not fully finished yet.
Hopefully bench tops later today. Drawers and hinges will have to come later because we have supply problems with COVID.
Okay.
So we will get started living here and get finished in the new year.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So this is the kitchen, yes?
Yeah. So kitchen we've built out of 4-ply.
Mm-hmm.
Chance for an architect to have a go at building something.
Okay. So you did that yourself?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. I was I couldn't get the joiner to do things when I needed to, so got some plywood, got some tools, and got busy.
Okay, cool.
But basically we have a very small block here.
Mm-hmm.
It's only 156 square meters.
Mm-hmm.
We have a family of 4,
Mm-hmm.
so we needed a really big living space, but it had to be one space.
Okay.
So we also have a 3-story building to our north, so we needed lots of light, so we made it tall, and big windows around the courtyard, which will be very green, hopefully very soon.
Okay.
Passive house was something that I didn't know about when I started designing this house, and with about a month before I put the DA in, I found out about it and had a listen to first Andy Marlowe from Envirotecture, who was my passive house consultant for this project. I hadn't done the course, and I listened to some of SPA's videos online and got super interested and came and did the course.
Okay.
So we got qualified just as we were starting construction.
So how did you feel sitting in the course and your house is already designed, and were there things where you thought, oh no, if I would have known? Super nervous getting started.
Yeah. I was also moving into doing a fit design for another house at the same time. And the amount of knowledge I had to gain to do this properly was massive. But the course was great. Getting to meet Daniel Jacobs at Proclaimer, and Stuart, Jesse, meant that we had people who could help me to get the knowledge. It's an amazing community, the passive house community. So
your course was a bit special, wasn't it? Like that was exactly when COVID hit.
Yeah, COVID came to Australia. We got first week of the course we did normally.
Yeah, face to face in the classroom. Yeah.
That's right. And then we suddenly had to stop and go from home. And Daniel did an amazing job of changing the way he delivered the course. And we muddled through. And everyone sort of helped each other. And it was great. Yeah.
Like first, I announced that we're not meeting in person any longer, and then the next day I announced to cancel the exam because we're not allowed to do face-to-face exams any longer from the Passive House Institute in Germany because it was already far more developed over there. Yeah, and then you have actually been in the first online Passive House exam in the world.
Yep.
The first English speaking, at least. That's for sure. So so we run the first international English speaking Passive House exam, and you actually passed it.
So that's right. We had fantastic prep and a little bit of extra time to study. And in my case, I got to apply and do things in the real. And it was really good.
Okay, so let us look a little bit into this house and what we're seeing. So it seems like you have in here your switchboard, but what is that hole up there? What's that there?
Okay, so for Passive House we have a 0.45 air changes an hour on our blower door test, which means that this building is very, very airtight. We have approximately 60 square millimeters of hole in the entire fabric of the building. So we need to get fresh air into this building somehow, and we do that with a mechanical heat recovery system. What that system does is that it pumps fresh air into the living spaces and to the bedrooms, and it extracts from the kitchen, so we have 2 vents up here, and from all of the bathrooms.
Okay.
Now, the really clever thing about this system is that it's, with a centralized mechanical heat recovery system, is that it's drawing all of our fresh air in through a box which has the smarts to not only filter the air as it comes in, but also to do a heat recovery. So we can, in summer, transfer upwards of 90% of our heat across onto the outgoing air on the building, so that we're tempering the air that comes in and makes it more comfortable. It also deals with humidity to a degree. In winter, we can also we can retain the heat that we generate inside the building and transfer it onto the fresh air that's coming into the building, which makes our heating and cooling costs substantially reduced.
Pretty much what you're saying is in the summer the heat stays outside with that system, and in the winter it maintains the heat inside. That's right. Pretty much what the heat recovery ventilation system is. So it's not a heating system, it just recovers and maintains the heat on one side. So it separates the outdoor environment from the indoor environment from a thermal perspective. And that's what it is doing. And you refer to that now as to a box. So could we see that box?
Absolutely. So
okay.
It's through here.
Okay. So what do we see here now?
We have a Zenda mechanical heat recovery system. So this is the box that has all the smarts and drives the air. These two ducts are the supply and exhaust to the outside of the building. And then this here is the supply back into the house. So this is a silencer which stops acoustic communication between the ducts. And then this here is one of the very important things that I learned about in the course, was that it's also possible to put a Hepa filter into the system, so that when we have smoky days, we can filter out the very fine particles in the air and have a better air quality inside the house.
You're getting fresh air from the outdoors filtered, right?
That's right.
So you're having filters. So where are your main filters?
So we have, in here we have main filters that are an F7 filter. So they filter the normal air coming into the house to a reasonable level. But just on those days where it's really, really smoky or really smoggy or dusty, we can add that extra level of filter up here once it's already been through these other filters. Okay.
So we're having the F7 filter that filters all the pollen on all the bigger parts out.
So this is what our standard F7 filter looks like. We change these approximately every 6 months. If we clean them and look after them a little bit. And,
how long are you running this one already?
About a week.
A week? So guys, like, I don't know if you can see it. Like, can you see that color change? So here's still a little bit of white part, and the rest is already a little bit brown. Can you see that? That's just from 1 week. All that dust didn't come into the house because it got filtered. If you look to the other side, that is completely clean. That's the inside. So when you're changing these filters, you really need to make sure that you keep the clean side facing the recovery system, because otherwise we are having the dust on the wrong side. So we need to make that sure that we put it the same way in again. So this one goes to that side. Perfect. Okay. So we're having an F7 filter that takes the dust out from the outside. Yeah, and then we're having a protection filter, the G4 filter, that's on the other side that protects the unit. And I assume that one is even dirtier because it has all the construction dust in there. Yeah, you see that is already far dirtier. So yeah, that one's good. Yeah, and then as well, keep in mind, like, this is normally the direction.
Yep.
Yeah, that tells you up. Yeah, and here in a way that is in the moment it's down. See that? Yeah, but we already have it in that way because the dust is already done, so be careful for the future. Just little things.
Things you don't know to mention. So I guess the other interesting thing about this machine is that unlike a normal house in Australia for bathroom ventilation or when we are cooking, we don't have extraction fans. What we have is this. We can close it off as well.
Yep. Could you close it? Yeah. So maybe you can show us now how that, is that a sliding door or is it a French door?
It's
So let us see if we hear a noise change after closing the door.
We got 40 decibel reduction on the glass as well. So.
The roof is SIPS, and then you have a metal roof on it.
Yep.
And now we hear that drumming a little bit.
Yeah, so the SIPS is quite live. So it's a EPS foam core. We increase the thermal resistance of the foam, and then 2 sheets of OSB.
Yeah.
Primarily, we have timber between the SIPS as the joining element.
Yeah.
With just one steel, which is entirely inside the building envelope.
Yeah.
How thick is the
So
SIPS?
175 mil on the roof,
Okay.
and 145 mil on the walls.
Yeah.
Internal walls 115 mil.
Okay. Cool. And the building is frame, timber frame or SIPS?
SIPS.
The whole building is SIPS.
Holding the SIPS.
Okay, so not only the roof, the building is SIPS. Okay.
That's right.
Okay.
So it was the second time I've designed a building using SIPS.
Yeah. And you're using timber SIPS or metal SIPS?
Timber.
Timber SIPS, good, because metal SIPS causes so much thermal bridging.
Yeah. But it's
So this is now a hallway. Do we have any ventilation in here as well? I don't see any
no, so
duct.
this is the transfer zone. So we have brought our ducts up to filter into the bedrooms. And to supply air, and also into the main bedroom around the corner. And then we're also extracting from the 2 bathrooms at the end here and from inside the attic, so that we have not a musty space inside the attic.
Yeah. So what we're seeing here, so over here that's your master bedroom.
Yep.
Yeah. With an ensuite.
We have an ensuite, and then we have a kids
bathroom. And then down here.
Kids, we have a fun space. So very tight bedrooms.
Okay.
But we have a hallway where we will have desks for study, and then a play space, and storage, and then we have sleeping spaces.
Ooh, so they're having really fun sleeping spaces.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's room for a queen size mattress up there.
Cool.
This will be great fun while they're little. Yeah. They're also very cozy spaces to be in.
Yeah.
Review.
Yeah, I think especially with a day like this with the rain on the window, I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And as well as stargazing, you probably could do there. So one thing that I noticed, you put your ventilation system now into your cabinet, is that right?
That's right.
Yeah. And this is now your heating cup ventilation system?
Yes.
Yeah. And what is this?
This is our split system air conditioners. So in this house, we have a cooling load of 3 kilowatts per square meter per annum, which is not particularly high. So we have way more air conditioning than we actually need to heat and cool the house.
Yeah.
However, we needed to be able to choose where we have the heating and cooling.
Yeah.
Because whilst the mechanical heat recovery ventilation is very good at transferring heat, it's not so good at transferring the cooling. So we will have a cooling need at different times of the day from this top corner of the house to the rest of the house.
Okay.
So we have air conditioning in both these bedrooms. We have air conditioning downstairs in case we have a lot of people in the house.
Yeah.
And then we have air conditioning in the main bedroom more the morning than the afternoon.
Okay. So how many of these heads, split system heads, do you have?
We have 5.
5. Okay, that's plenty.
With a single outdoor unit.
Outdoor unit. So what's the capacity of that system?
It's 11 kilowatt outdoor system, which again is never going to be running at that level, as long as we remember to use our external blinds and that sort of thing.
So 11 kilowatt hours, that's a massive system. What's the load that you calculate by passive house?
3 kilowatt.
3 kilowatts, so you have pretty much 3 to 4 times.
That's right.
The size that you actually need.
So, yeah, and this is partly something that I need to learn more about. But the air conditioning supplier when you have 5 heads,
Yeah.
they can't supply an outdoor unit that is less than what we've got
Mm.
because the system will go into error. So we would need to use smaller individual units, and in this particular site, because we're so close to other people, we're not allowed to have multiple heads or outdoor
Condensers,
units.
yeah, condensers, okay.
So yeah, our acoustic requirement was a single unit.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So, so then 11 kilowatt because of the building regulations that you're only allowed to have 1 condenser.
Yep.
And the way to supply 5 heads, it couldn't be smaller than 11.
Sorry.
So you need 3, but you get 11.
Yes.
So you could probably create in here an ice skating hall.
Yeah.
From the capacity that you have.
We were testing it the other day to make sure the drains were all working before I cover everything up.
Yeah.
And it gets very cold in here.
Yeah. Could you maybe even a sauna in the winter?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So let us look to the other room. So this is like nicely hidden in your cabinet. That's what I really like, especially if you designed the house and thought about it from the beginning. Then you can do that, like hide it in your cabinets.
Absolutely.
Like my cooking skills are not necessarily the best.
Yes.
So sometimes it gets a bit too smoky. And then obviously I want to open my windows and get that smoke out
Absolutely.
again.
Yeah. So we have a boost mode on our heat recovery ventilation as well to increase the airflow.
Yeah.
And then we also have been very careful in our choice of range hood, which I know we probably differ slightly on the choice, but we've gone with one that has a electric plasma filter on the range hood, but still a very, very high capacity through rate, so that we can filter air that's coming off the kitchen very quickly.
Okay.
And then we have our extraction points very close to that as well.
Okay, cool. So, do you have a few special features in this house, or is there something you would like to show us?
So we have, with our hot water system, often in Sydney, or at least through my 20 years of professional experience, we've always put continuous gas hot water systems in. Obviously now we are trying to move away from using gas. This house doesn't have gas at all. And one of the systems that we're using is a heat pump hot water service. So this is a reclaim system. It essentially uses a very efficient and very quiet air conditioner to heat by water. I believe it has a COP of around 5. It's going to produce hot water for us not only during the day when our solar panels are providing power to it, but it is also going to be able to generate some heat overnight, which means that we will have hot water in the morning when we need to.
So how big is the tank?
315 litres.
Yeah. If you heat that every 2 days, it's plenty.
Yeah. You haven't seen the bath yet.
Yeah. When you bring it up to 60 degrees, that like 25 liters of 60 degrees per person. So you have 3 kids? 2 kids?
Yeah.
So you have 4 people, so it's 3 days of hot water theoretically in there.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so, and then your solar, normally in Australia, here in Sydney, like soon you have your solar system on the roof, you shouldn't pay for hot water. And cooling.
That's right.
There's only cooling needed when the sun is shining, otherwise it's not getting hot.
That's right. It's very quick to change temperature as well, we found, and it's that cooling is the residual cooling from using it at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Is still there in the morning when they come to site.
So you're running your conditioning, your cooling at 2-3 o'clock. And then you still feel it is cool in the morning when you're coming the next day.
That's right.
So it's that means when the sun is shining most, you can actually cool down your house and never use electricity from the grid.
That's right. So we will have 11 solar panels on the roof, 4.4 kilowatt system, and then we will also have a Tesla battery to be able to shift some of that energy generation. We're not seeing that as something that we will be using to supply the grid, but something that lets us use energy at night and make the most of what we generate. Okay, cool. I like it. Back to the door, to the window. So here we have now a proper door, and now we have this is the aluminium clad. So that's the external finish. And so this is aluminium. That's then our timber, and then we're having our double seal, and then this is our closer. And when we also a proper lock. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Points of locking, so look how aggressive they already look. Like it's like, don't come close to me. Like this is properly locked door, I would say. That's just to the balcony. That's right. And now it's gone again. Cool. So that's all about sealing the windows really well, as well as helping us with the security bit. Does somebody have a phone on them? Yeah. Do you have a torch on your phone? I do. So let us check if your windows have a coating on. These ones don't. These ones don't, So now we're using the light of a phone, so the light spectrum is not so good, so you normally don't see so well the coating. But here, when we're looking now into the glazing, we see now 4 times the light. Can you see that? You see 4 times the light? 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, why do we have 4 lights in this double glazing? Because every
layer of glazing gives us a reflection. So the top glazing, then the back of this glazing, then the front of that glazing and the back of that glazing. Then we're getting 4 layers. And if you're going now really close into this, you will see that the second light from the front is a different color. Can you see that? Yeah, and this is now where your coating is on. So now with this little trick you can actually check if your glazings are installed the correct way. So here it's on the inside, then go to the next glazing and check again. Yeah, it's again on the inside. So we really know that this glazing and this glazing are installed the same way. So that's a little trick to make sure that your glazing is the right way in your window. Normally if your coating is on the inside, like we see it here, like on the pane that is on the like on the internal side, then it's more for keeping the heat in. If the coating is on the other one, on the outer one, on the inner space of the outer one, then it's more for keeping the heat out. Normally, generally speaking, there's so much more in it. That was the normal one, and that's now for keeping the heat out. Yeah. So now, like Elsie, you asked before, where should be the coating? So now this one is now east and west facing, so we want to keep the heat out. And you see now that the first 2 lights are the same color, the third light is now a different color, and then the other one is the same light than the other, like the first 2. So that means the coating is now on the outer pane. That means the heat stays rather outside than inside.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, and then we have outside for thermal, inside for projector.
Yeah, I was wondering already where you're placing your TV.
TV,
So it's the projector.
In populating plants for inside, and we're going to do a planting on the roof of the shed and up the walls, and no more lawn in the bottom and some planting.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Cool. I like it.
That's it.